first impression when you saw LSU's offense the first game of the year? Were you not believing what you were seeing?
I was here for a day in August and spent the day around the complex and watched practice, and it was immediately evident that things were different. But I will confess to being somewhat skeptical because I thought, well, what you do in one practice in August and what you actually pull out and do in a game, sometimes entirely different things. But they've committed to it, and I've said this a lot. I really commend Ed for it because a lot of coaches say that, well, we need to change, we need to get more explosive, we need to do this, we need to do that, yet they've reached the level where they are due to a certain philosophy, and a lot of times coaches are too stubborn, too scared, too set in their ways, whatever, to change. And he allowed the change. And I think LSU is reaping the benefits. And while Joe Brady is brilliant and a rising star, I give a ton of credit to Ed for seeing the need and then following through with it.
Rece, is there kind of a national feeling that, yes, LSU scored a lot of points and they won a big game at Texas, but they haven't played a defense like this, and let's see how they do against Florida?
Yes, but I don't think it's not cast in the light of doubting LSU. I think those things are true. Texas is a decent defense. It's not to the level of Florida's defense. Texas is a good defense, not necessarily a great one. Florida is potentially a great defense. It doesn't mean that LSU's numbers and accomplishments are somehow diminished. It's just a fact. It is going to be the biggest challenge that they've had. I don't expect them to go in and roll up 55 like they've been doing on everybody else against Florida. But a really good night's work, in my judgment, from Florida's defense would be holding LSU to 28-31. That's a little different, and I think that's a compliment. If my memory serves, I think LSU's averaging right at 55 points a game, and Florida's given up 57 all season. So, it is clearly the biggest challenge for both. LSU hasn't seen a defense like this, nor has Florida seen an offense like the one they're going to see Saturday night.
What are your thoughts? Ed Ogeron, he was mocked nationally and kind of made fun of at the old Ole Miss, and now he's settled in and doing a good job. I mean, is he earning respect now?
I don't think there's any question about that. I mean, he is one of the reasons those of us who love college football love Coach O is because he is a character, and he has been able to hold on to his personality while still making, sort of like the offense that I was talking about earlier, while making changes necessary to be an outstanding head coach. He's doing a terrific job here. And I think that's the ultimate sign of growth in a person, when you see something that needs changing and you have the courage and the ability to do that. And, Ole Miss is a tough job to begin with, and he probably at that time in his career wasn't ready for that. Now, at this time in his career, he is ready for it. He understood what needed to change, and he's done it. And I think he deserves a boatload of credit. I mean, the number one thing for any head coach is at the risk of offending all of the X and O purists, the number one thing, can you get them to play hard for you? And the answer with Coach O in that is a resounding yes. Now, he's added to that the ability to get them to play hard, giving them Dave Aranda, Joe Brady around to put them in the best position to not only play hard, but to have great success from a schematic standpoint too.
What's the national perspective on LSU's defense? Because it's usually the unit that carries the team, and this year's been a little bit flipped.
I think the biggest thing with their defense right now is they've been hurt. I mean, they've had, whether it's Lawrence and Logan, Divinity, and Calebon's been, beat up a little bit, and Delpit bit his lip or whatever, and had to leave a game the other day. So I think they just haven't been at full strength. I believe that much of the number of points they gave up against Texas got a little gassed, and that's a really good offense they faced. Don't worry so much about Vanderbilt because most of that game was decided, when a lot of that happens. So, I think it's still regarded as a really talented unit. Maybe not quite the explosive, disruptive pass rushers that they've always had, but man, oh man, those guys in the back end, forget it. Stingley's every bit as good as advertised, if not better. Everybody knows Delpit's a stud. Fulton's a terrific player. They've got legit dudes in the back end, and they've got good players everywhere else. I'm a big fan of Chason. I think he's an excellent player.
How does the Fair Pay-to-Play Act bill in California really affect the smaller states like Louisiana that doesn't even have it on the docket yet?
I don't think it affects anything until it passes. I mean, it's 2023, but I think here's a couple of things. Number one, I think the athletes should be treated like every other student on this campus. There is not a student on this campus where they go, well, if you go and take an engineering internship and get paid for it, you are compromising your education. It's preposterous. Those are not mutually exclusive things. And what this does is it keeps the schools from having to make the players employees, and which I don't think they should do, but I absolutely think they ought to have the right to their name, image, and likeness. If there's a car dealer in Bogalusa that wants to bring Joe Burrow down to sign autographs, who cares? Good for him. Write the man a check. Give that man his money, and I'm fine with that. This does not compromise education. You can set parameters. You can make guidelines. You can make them file taxes. You can let them have representation, just like all adults are able to do. We like to throw around the term kids, and I've got children that age, college-age children. They're my children, but they are adults now, and they can make decisions. And guess what? I hate to say it, but sometimes people get to make mistakes. And we have all this hand-wringing over, well, if we let them go and make money, they might not invest it wisely. How many of you guys know 50-year-old people who don't invest their money wisely? There's no age limit that says, okay, once you're 28, well, then you know how to invest. Or you know how to save. It's just doing what's right. And the right thing is, the way this has exploded as a business is not to make the schools make them employees. The right thing is just to lift the limitations. Let them get out in the free market. Let the market decide. Because you know what? And I'm on a rant here. I mean, I'm rolling with you now. But here's the thing. I really believe this too. There will be a year, 2 years, 3 years, something where there will be a lot of really, really, really bad investments made by people eager to help get someone in or hire someone or have them represent their business early on at LSU and other places. There'll be a lot of bad investments made. And after you make a couple of bad investments and after you throw some money at some guy who doesn't get on the field, then you're going to take a step back, right? And you're going to wait and you're going to see what's wise for you. And the market will take care of this like it does everything else in our culture. And I think that's the best course of action we could have. It doesn't compromise our education. The only thing it does is it takes away this notion that you and I probably had our whole lives that has never really existed, that everybody just is out there for the good old glory of State U. They enjoy that, but that's not everything. And I think the best thing is just to lift the restrictions. Let the market take care of it. Other than that, I have no opinion on this.
you mentioned Joe Burrow. Just talk about what you.
Yeah, you don't want to talk about this anymore. You're going to get back to ball. Here he is. It's serious football here. Okay, I'm sorry.
But Joe Burrow, what you've seen, and not just as a passer, but as a leader, just his he got a little cocky to him.
Yeah, he does. He's got a little toughness, a little swagger. Heard a story last night about earlier game this year where some of the people on the opposing sidelines who knew him previously were trying to get under his skin, get him off his game. He started telling them, "We're about to put 500 on you," So and his teammates love that. He has exceeded everything as a passer. Exceeded what I thought was possible. I mean, when I was down here in August, Coach O was telling me, look, he's a difference maker now. And I was like, okay, I know he's tough. I know he's a good leader. I know he knows ball. But is he really a difference maker? The answer to that question is yes. I mean, he's been terrific for them, not only as a player, but as a leader. And I think that little edge, that little demeanor, that little cockiness that he has really plays well, and guys really want to play for him.
When you're preparing for this game, I mean, you saw him last year. How much different do you see this team than the past?
Offensively, I mean, they're night and day. I mean, they can score quickly now, and it seemed like the extraction of a mower in the past, for them to drive down the field, and it's not that way anymore. Now they can quick strike and tempo, and they have answers. And Todd Grantham was talking this week about how so many of their answers come after the snap, which is a little bit different too. So I think it's completely different offensively than what we've seen, and defensively, once they get healthy, they're going to be fine. They are fine. They're fine now, but they're going to be when they get to be full strength, you'll have to handle them defensively as well.
You've been here many times. I know it's a standard question we ask you. What makes Baton Rouge special? What makes Death Valley special? And doing the show here.
There's just an intensity to it. There's a passion for the program. There's a passion for the state and the culture in the state, and a real pride. And there's just, I don't know. Maybe it's the stadium is a little older. There's a vibe and a feeling when you walk in there, particularly for a night game. That is, there are a lot of other great places. I mean, Penn State at night, a whiteout is really cool. Notre Dame's cool. A lot of places, Alabama's cool, but there's just something about this place that I don't know that you can quantify in a sentence other than just to say that there is a deep-seated, from the gut, from the heart passion that is evident when you step out on the field.
Last question, guys. Sorry, it's a little late, but
It's okay.
as far as, in your opinion, Joe Burrow, do you think he's a serious candidate for the Heisman race?
There's no question about it. I mean, he didn't have the preseason hype for the Heisman that other guys had, but his in-season thing is what matters. And we've had a lot of Heisman winners in recent years that didn't have a lot of attention in the preseason. So his biggest stages are to come. This will be one on Saturday night. One in Tuscaloosa will be a big stage for him. Potential SEC championship game will be a big stage, and all of those things will have a huge impact on it. But there is no question that he is a legitimate Heisman contender, and at this moment in time, at this point as we sit here in early to mid-October, he has as much of a claim to it as anyone in the sport.
What do you think about just his charisma, personality?
As I was saying earlier, he's got an edge to him. He's got a little cockiness, a little swagger that I think plays well with his teammates, and they really want to fight for him because they think, hey, if our quarterback is acting like that, then he must know something that everybody else ought to know, and he's showing them right now for sure.
You've seen